To another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Google MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio and Michael Bullock. And gentlemen, we're just going to dive right on in as always, starting it off with SmackDown Live, then to be followed by AEW Rampage. So here we go, SmackDown Live tonight. And as you guys may know, we did not. So we're going to start it off first off. We started off with a promo segment by the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, along with the family. As many of you guys may know, Pat McAfee was not there. So the Bloodline started out. They were basically appearing, and here we go. So it was a good promo segment. Of course, Money on the Mic is Paul Heyman. And then, the funny thing was after that, Theory comes out, and he just does a lap around the ring, around the entire arena with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Basically putting it in the head of Roman, hey, hello, I'm Mr. Money in the Bank. You're not going to forget about me. I'm going to be around. And when the time is right, I might cash in on you. Now, obviously, the WWE Universe does not want to see it. I don't want to see it. Florio and Bullock doesn't want to see it because we know what that means. 85% of the time, when the men's Money in the Bank is put in play, only 3 times in WWE history, 3 times in WWE history, we've had a failed cash-in. Every other time, regardless of somebody else having the Money in the Bank, where in the case of Edge and in the case of The Miz, they have gone on to win it. Every other person has done it. 3 guys have failed. John Cena, but this is the biggest asterisk more than anything else when it comes to John Cena. He put the Money in the Bank against CM Punk. The Big Show interfered in the fight. Yes, Cena won the match by disqualification. However, it was deemed a failed cash-in. Under the jurisdiction of Money in the Bank rules, this was classified as a failed cash-in. But that's why we put a huge asterisk on it, because of the fact that it wasn't really Cena's fault that he failed. There was an interference in that, and that's why. But under the letter of the law of Money in the Bank, it was deemed a failed cash-in. The other one was Damian Sandow, and that was against John Cena, and Cena beat Sandow and thwarted the Money in the Bank. Yes, Michael Bullock, we all know about the infamous Baron Corbin on Smackdown, and that was a failed cash-in. And that was a failed cash-in as well. And the other one was Braun Strowman. So actually 4 failed cash-ins. So Braun Strowman failed, and I believe that was on Roman. He tried to cash that on, Anthony?
Yes, it was at the Hell in a Cell 2018 pay-per-view inside Hell in a Cell. He honestly cashed it in. One of only 2, I believe, who did it. RVD. Him and RVD were the only 2 who cashed it in.
Honest. And Cena.
Cena
was an honorable cash in because he called it. So yes, there was 3. RVD at One Night Stand.
Extreme Rules.
Braun Strowman. Extreme Rules in the cage.
Hell in a Cell 2018.
In Hell in a Cell. And then, of course, Cena for the Raw 1000 when he went up against CM Punk, and that was an actual honorable cash-in. So, yeah, technically there were 4 failures. Yes, we talked about the Baron Corbin one. We know about the Baron Corbin one. We thought that was not going to be an official cash-in. Then we had a fear that Cena was going to cost Corbin the fight, causing a DQ. That would have been the second under the Money in the Bank rules. But it wasn't. That was the most famous, shocking failed cash-in of all time. But so Theory ran his lap. He basically let it known to Roman and to the Bloodline, I'm right here. I'm Mr. Money in the Bank. I'm one successful cash-in away from being the youngest WWE Universal Champion of all time. At 24 years old, he would actually beat Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton to be the youngest world champion in WWE history if he does it. He is so close. Anytime between now and then, he will break the record at 24. Brock was 25 when he did it. I think Randy Orton was 25 when he became the WWE champion for the first time. 24. Who is 24? Orton or Brock?
Orton.
But I think Orton was 24 and something months. I know Theory is younger than Orton.
Orton was 24 years and 4 months. Because his birthday is April 1st.
Okay. So Theory has a shot. So
sure,
Theory,
why not?
Yeah, no. If he does it, he breaks the record. He will break the record. I think he's like 24 in a month or 2. So he could still break it. He can break it. So that's what they've been hyping about, is that Theory could actually break this record. So that
August 2nd, Theory's birthday is August 2nd of 97.
So he just already turned. So he just August 2nd?
August 2nd, he'll be 25.
All right. So then why are they labeling him the young? Are they labeling him the youngest champion ever if he does it? When that
obviously to insult our intelligence, because a lot of people don't remember certain things, and
I guess so, because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, wait a minute, that makes no sense, because I actually thought Orton was 25 when he broke the record, when he had it. So
he was 24. He was born April 1st, 1980.
Yeah. So that means Orton would still hold the record. I mean, all right. Yeah, Orton would still hold the record by virtue of that decision. So we'll wait and see what happens. All we know is that right now, like we said, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out, but there's really nothing more to say. So, Anthony, Heyman Money on the mic, but Theory is lurking, and I mean literally lurking now. He's definitely playing a game of chicken with the tribal chief.
Yes. I will let me get into the analysis here, and then I'll play professor mode. I'll go into my professor mode and clear up this whole youngest thing here. It is always nice to see Roman Reigns back, and the charismatic, feel-good approach to his promo was the perfect antithesis of Paul Heyman's approach. He appeared unfazed by the idea of Brock Lesnar beating him, and even joked that he was not going through the whole quote-unquote where do Heyman's allegiances lie thing again, like we saw around Mania or so. It was a great dichotomy before Heyman ended his anxiety-filled promo by warning Reigns that he will have to go to levels he has not in a long time to retain the undisputed Universal Championship in the SummerSlam. Great stuff from two virtuoso performers who bring a certain gravity to the show that others simply do not. In a hell of a tease heading into the night's first break, Theory appeared at the entranceway, staring down Roman Reigns as he basked in the roar of the WWE Universe. And Reigns said to Heyman, "We've been through this before. I know we ain't going back there," referencing the special counsel's wavering between him and Brock Lesnar from late last year, early this year. And Brock Lesnar has one last chance, Heyman said, attempting to hammer home the idea that SummerSlam is the last time he will battle Reigns. It is an idea no one actually believes. Now then, getting into this whole youngest thing. When Brock Lesnar won the WWE Undisputed Championship from The Rock at the greatest SummerSlam of all time, 2002, he was 25 years and 1 month. And a matter of fact, Brock Lesnar's birthday is coming up. Brock Lesnar's birthday, I believe, is this Tuesday because he was born on July 12th. So he'll be turning 45 on Tuesday. So Brock was 25 years and 1 month when he won the WWE Championship from The Rock. 2 years later, SummerSlam 2004, when Randy Orton won the World Heavyweight Championship from Chris Benoit in Toronto, he was 24 years and 4 months when he did it. And Theory, little fun fact here, he was born one day. He was born the day before SummerSlam 1997. 24 hours after he was born, SummerSlam 97 took place. One of the greatest of all time. And he would be the youngest in this generation, no question about it, but he wouldn't be the youngest overall because by the time we get to SummerSlam, he'll be 24 years and 5 months. Orton by a month would still have the record of youngest overall world champion. Youngest world heavyweight champion, but Brock Lesnar is the youngest WWE champion of all time when he was 25 and 1 month when he knocked off The Rock. So that's my little professor mode here. This was hands down the segment of the night, and Paul Heyman. I mean, you wonder why we always applaud him for his mic work. I mean, he is one of the best, if not the best talker in the history of professional wrestling. Give that man a live microphone and he speaks, we all listen. And Bullock and I, we most assuredly listened when the special counsel spoke during our Smackdown chat this evening. So, but yeah, fantastic segment. Great way to start it off. I'll tell you right now, this show was the drizzling you-know-whats tonight. And I'm not gonna go as far as Derek Ferrero usually does. I'm not going that route, even though I've got a right to. But this was one of the very few, if not the only real bright spot of this show here tonight. So just be forewarned. So with that segment of the night, there is no question about it. And Michael Bullock, I mean, when we had our Smackdown chat tonight, when the special counsel spoke, we listened.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, when Paul Heyman speaks, everybody listens, and that is why he is, without a doubt, the best talker in WWE, if not WWE, in all of professional wrestling. I mean, the way he hypes a certain match or a certain something, it's like he just, anything he does turns to gold. And I mean, whether it was with Brock Lesnar or, of course, now with Roman Reigns, and I mean, it's just money. That's just how I feel about it. And yeah, this to me was hands down the segment of the night. I mean, of course, talking about the matchup with Lesnar and Reigns, last man standing at SummerSlam, and yeah, and then Theory basically saying, "Hey, don't forget about me. I have the money in the bank, and I can cash it in anytime I want when one of you guys is vulnerable. So, I mean, we all three of us don't want to see it happening because, I mean, and Florio will agree with me, and I don't know how Fletch would agree with if he'll agree with me on it. That this guy is the biggest ham and egger jabroni right now on the main roster. I mean,
did you see Roman's face? Did you see Roman's face when he came out? If that's not a Roman not impressed face, tell me what is.
Yeah.
Roman was basically like, this is the guy who was threatening me. Yeah, this is just another. How would you say it, Fletch? I mean, he's just another.
If I'm Roman,
Yeah.
I watch myself because the silent types are the most deadliest. You know, I hate to say this, but this guy gets a little bit of a Miz type of an attitude. But the thing is that one false mistake, one bad move by Roman, and you could be a former ex-champion.
And if that happens,
money in the bank.
And if that happens, social media is going to go off and not in a good way.
No, obviously.
Because nobody wants this guy to be world champion. Because it's like, what the hell did this guy do? I mean, what the hell did this guy even do to earn himself a shot in the Money in the Bank ladder match in the first place? But like we talked about it in the recap, it's because of McMahon.
And the thing is, it's a typical formula that has burned Roman, almost burned McIntyre. It definitely burned Cena for a number of years. Whenever you get a WWE talent and you start pushing them on the fan base and the fans start to get sick and tired of it, they're going to revolt. But the thing is, when they did it with Roman, the thing was, Roman was able to work it and was able to turn it around. And you know how he did it? By being the guy that they wanted him to be. How did they were able to turn Roman? By turning him heel and letting the fans boo him, so rightfully deserved. The thing was, the minute we wanted a heel Roman Reigns and we got it, as fickle as the WWE universe is, they love Roman now. They think he's the greatest thing out there.
And you can hear it in the crowd tonight, Fletch. I mean, you could hear some of them were basically cheering him.
You know what? I gotta say it sometimes, and I'm gonna say something really offensive right now, and I don't give a damn. But sometimes WWE fans can be dumbasses. Straight up. I'm going to call them. Because of the fact, and that's the thing. You wanted Roman Reigns to be a heel for so long, and now that you got him, you enjoy it. That's like the same thing with The Rock. When The Rock first started out, when he was Rocky Maivia, nobody liked him, so they started booing him. The next thing you know, the minute he turns heel, he becomes the greatest thing in WWE. The greatest thing in WWE. It's like they want an anti-hero. They want that type of an attitude. I get it. But the thing is, it's so weird sometimes. It is so weird.
That's the thing, Fletch. I mean, these fans can be so stupid. They can be so full of themselves. Like you said, Roman, I mean, they booed him when they said, "Oh, we want him to be a heel." Then he becomes a heel, and they cheer him. It's like, okay.
Well, the thing is, well, you could also say that's the same thing with AEW fans. I'm not going to go there. I shouldn't. God forbid I go after AEW fans. But I will say this. They did the same thing to Cody Rhodes. They did the same thing to Cody. Cody was one of the hottest things out there. Great talent, but they booed him. You know what? Forget it. I'll say it. They booed the living shit out of him. They absolutely booed the living shit out of him, disrespecting him, treating him like a piece of garbage. That's why he probably went back to WWE. Don't you think that way?
No, I agree.
Wait, Bullet. No. Let me lay down a couple of fire notes here. Because
okay.
I need to get this off my goddamn chest. One other thing, Sammy Guevara. Let's talk about him. He was the Spanish God. Everybody was loving him. He was wicked cool. The minute he links up with Ty Conte, they turn on him in a heartbeat. Turn on him and Ty. Now they're the most over heels right now in AEW because of the fact that they're going to work the narrative. I think what they do is a lot of the times they'll listen to the fans. The companies knows what gauges them, what to do, and when to do it. If the companies like Tony Khan in AEW, if he does it expertly well done, he feels the pulse of the crowd, and they go that direction. Because I'll bet you anything, he was pushing Sammy to be a great face. I think he had the whole thing set it up. The minute the fans turned on him, he's like, okay, you want to do that? All right, let's. You want him to be a real heel? Let's give him a real heel like. So what do? They shove Sammy and Ty down our throats, and now here's the thing too. Because of Wardlow winning the TNT title that happened on Wednesday night, remember that little decree that Sammy Guevara cannot challenge for the AEW TNT title? Guess what, boys? That's now null and void. He actually can now go after the title again. And what's the one thing I was hearing on social media? Oh, shit, no. Yes.
Yeah, like you said, as soon
after that belt right now.
Yeah, as soon as Wardlow won the title, people were like, oh, shit. Now Sammy Guevara is going to probably go after the title. And as soon as we saw that on Twitter, we were like, yep.
We knew it. We absolutely freaking knew it.
And now
Sammy knew it too.
People probably want Wardlow to beat the shit out of Sammy Guevara.
Oh yeah, no doubts. The only reason why I'm trying to get this out is I'm going to openly admit it. I got a lot of cutouts here because, like Anthony said, this Smackdown was dog poop. It was very bad show. So
it smelled like shit.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but you said it, Bullock. But anyway, so let's go into the show because, like I said, we had some cutouts. We had the Viking Raiders versus Shanky and Jinder Mahal. Viking Raiders won the match in a minute and 15 seconds. And then we had Ludwig Kaiser and Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura won the match and won it in 6 minutes and 40 seconds. So, Anthony, do you want to talk about this quickly? Because it looks like Nakamura is possibly the one to go after Gunther and the Intercontinental title, which means my theory of possibly Cena versus Gunther might have just been blown to bits as well. So it looks like both of us are not going to get what we want.
No, doesn't look like it. But hey, but MF, I mean, if it's not going to be Cena, at least let it be one of your favorites in Nakamura.
Absolutely.
Because we all know the love affair you've had with Shinsuke Nakamura since he was the megastar in New Japan. But and we'll never forget how you literally marked when he got called up to the main roster, and it ended up being Smackdown, your show, where he's been ever since. So, but anyways, Nakamura defeated Kaiser with the Kinshasa, setting up a dream match of sorts. between two of the greatest NXT stars in that brand's history. The bigger takeaway, though, was not the artist's win, but rather the post-match confrontation with Kaiser. The brutal trio of chops that the Ring General unleashed on his spokesman seemingly planted the seeds of two different elements of their relationship. First off, Gunther does not accept failure. But then again, who does? Second, it's only a matter of time before Kaiser eventually stands up for himself. Hopefully, WWE is playing the long game there, because that is a story fans can absolutely get behind. And it is one that could elevate Ludwig Kaiser to stardom and perhaps set up an eventual showdown between the champion and his closest confidant. It is just as likely that WWE Creative uses this newly introduced element to put over the ruthlessness of Gunther. And that too could work. It just seems like eventually Kaiser will become a sympathetic figure and potentially set up the most unexpectedly hot program on the brand. Oh, and Nakamura versus Gunther is going to be all kinds of awesome when it finally happens. I believe it will happen at the earliest possible date. And the earliest possible date, in the immortal words of the late great President Jack Tunney, I believe will be in 3 weeks. The SummerSlam. Nashville. Those two at Nissan, that could be a sleeper fight of the night contender. Very easily. I don't think Nakamura is going to win the title, even though the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship has changed hands at SummerSlam more than any other title in WWE. It is that title is to SummerSlam what the WWE Championship is to WrestleMania. Because the WWE Championship's changed hands 25 times in WrestleMania history. I think it's probably about half or so of that for the Intercontinental. But there is definitely one thing that definitely caught my eye. As a fan of professional wrestling, it was, well, on a personal front, you know, it was very disrespectful. But at the same time, as a professional wrestling fan and as a heel commentator, I would have gone off on this. I would have laughed my ass off on this. Baron Corbin.
I think Glorio's going with this.
Happy Corbin. Popping and then rocking out on the air guitar while mocking Pat McAfee's love for Nakamura was great television. And Michael Cole attempted to knock Corbin's NFL career during his stint with the Indianapolis Colts, only to be shut down by Happy, who reminded him of his offensive line career with the Arizona Cardinals. And then, we talked about Gunther berating Kaiser after the bout. The match, I would say by default, this was the fight of the night. I would probably give this about 2.5 stars for the effort. But as, from a personal standpoint, you definitely want to poo-poo on this. But on the professional side of things, and I got to admit, I actually got a bit of a laugh out of Corbin and Corey Graves doing the McAfee there, especially Corbin. I mean, the way he did it. I mean, he literally sounded like Pat McAfee, and it was. I mean, when he heard the music, he was like, "Oh," and then he did the "Let's Go" and all that. And,
my gosh!
But at the same time. Like I said, professionally, I thought it was funny as hell. It's one of the rare times WWE did a campy comedy thing, and it was actually funny. I actually laughed. But on the personal side of things, very disrespectful, obviously. And Bullock and IMF. I mean, when we saw this during our Smackdown chat, we were saying to ourselves, if and when MF gets word of this, MF's going to go Cerebral Viper on this, because we all know, MF, how much we all know you are, if not the biggest fan of Pat McAfee. We know how much you love the man. And because you watch his show you listen to his radio show every day, or watch it on YouTube, and, the whole For the Brand thing and all that. But if you want to set up a program and give somebody, good heel heat, that's the way to do it right there. That was perfect heel heat right there for Corbin, and I'll even say perfect heel heat for Corey Graves as well. So But like I said, it's a tale of two things. On a professional level, I thought it was brilliantly done, and I also got a laugh out of it. But personally, that it did bother me. But 2.5 stars for the Nakamura Gunther match. I think it will be Nakamura and Gunther for the title at SummerSlam, and we'll take it from there. And who knows, Ludwig Kaiser could end up being a factor in that match. So, but there isn't much more for me to say. So, Michael Bullock, by default, this was the fight of the night, even though it wasn't, a blowaway. But Nakamura and Gunther appear to be headed for a collision course for the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship in the SummerSlam. And then, of course, what we saw with Corbin and Graves mocking Pat McAfee. Professionally funny, personally not so much.
2.5 stars is my rating for the match. I mean, you said it, but when I saw Baron Corbin mocking Pat McAfee, doing the thing with Nakamura was bad enough. But then you had to have Corbin's buddy Corey Graves joining on the fun too. I'm like, ugh, I did not want to see that on my TV. First off, let me address you two dipshits.
Oh.
Nobody copies off what Pat McAfee does. What Pat McAfee, when he does it, is 10 times better than what you two did tonight. And I'll tell you what, when Pat McAfee, he gets a hold of this, Corbin, he's going to beat the shit out of you, and I'm going to enjoy it. And Florio knows this. 2 years ago, I hated this guy. But here it is 2 years later, and I'm really enjoying Pat McAfee. I mean, go call me crazy for it, but I'm actually enjoying it. So, memo to Corey Graves and Baron Corbin: don't copy off of people's moves like that. So, or better than that, go to dance class, you two dipshits. I'm done.
All right. I don't know where to go from there, but I will say this. It's going to be very interesting to see. So next up we had was a promo by the SmackDown Women's Champion, Liv Morgan, in the ring with Michael Cole, and then interrupted by Natalya, and also interrupted by Ronda Rousey, and it led to a match between Ronda Rousey and Natalya. Ronda won the match in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. We're not going to talk about that, but I will say this. This was I think this was better than Monday Night Raw. The segment was better for Liv. She was more controlled. Yes, she was very energetic. She was still on that cloud nine. She was very hyped up. But the thing is, Michael Cole reeled her in and actually got a decent interview out of it. Obviously, now it looks like, we were talking about maybe it being Ronda versus Liv. Now I'm starting to get the feeling that it might be a triple threat. Ronda versus Liv versus Natalya. But here's the thing, guys. If it's a triple threat, this might be good for Liv because it opens the door for Natalya to eat the fall or lose. And on top of that, it will make Ronda strong enough that even if she loses the match, she won't be out of the picture, and it will cement Liv as champion. So this could end up being better than expected because right now, there's a lot of fans out there that are very nervous about Liv Morgan. And a lot of people are fearing that Liv is not going to have a long-term reign. And as a matter of fact, Dave Meltzer, Uncle Dave, has already gone on record and said, yeah, he's been hearing that Liv Morgan will not be a long-term champion. She won't have the belt for a long period of time. But the thing is, they don't want to put the belt back on Ronda because they think the fans will turn on Ronda. If Ronda becomes the champion again on Liv expense, fans are going to revolt and go literally after. Is that official, Anthony?
Yes, it is, MF. It's on WWE's Instagram account. They posted it 42 minutes ago.
So they
one-on-one.
Okay. So,
and I sent it on the TX Talking Wrestling TXN Messenger.
All right. So apparently now we're getting word, as you just heard from the guys, it will be Liv versus Ronda one-on-one at SummerSlam for the title. I think there's going to be one more addition. I don't know why. I think Natalya is going to find her way into that fight. There's no way that they're going to make this a straight-up one-on-one. I got a funny feeling that even though it says Ronda versus Liv right now, I think there's going to be a third wheel in this. And I think it's going to be Natalya. She's getting way too into this battle where I think they're gonna force her in there. So I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, it is what it is. But I'm gonna be real honest with you. I'm gonna openly admit it. I think we're gonna see a triple threat at SummerSlam. I think it's gonna be a triple threat for the title because I do believe that if they do a straight up one-on-one, I think Ronda gets the belt back. But the thing is, the WWE does not want to do that because the fans will turn on Ronda. They will turn on her unless they make her go heel, but there's no intentions of doing that. So I think this could be a mistake. I think what they should do is add Natalya in it, make it a triple threat, and then because I think right now, honestly, truthfully, I could see Liv holding the belt up until before Survivor Series. Because obviously, once you got to Survivor Series, you know they're going to want to do that Raw versus Smackdown. So you know that's going to be possibly Bianca Belair versus Liv. That's face versus face. That's not happening. So either Ronda gets the belt back, Charlotte shows up and wins the title, Bayley comes back and she wins the belt. Because I think they're going to want to do one of those. Maybe Charlotte versus Bianca. Now, that would be a great fight because that's never been done before. That would be a first time between them two. So, I don't know how that's going to play out, but I think Liv will hold the belt. But I'm honestly going to say it. I don't think she's going to hold on to it very long. I hope it's past SummerSlam, which I think it will. I think she'll lose it because remember, you know in SmackDown and Raw, there's always been a title change before Survivor Series. We've seen it a number of times. I think we're going to see a title change before Survivor Series. And I think this time around, the SmackDown Women's title is probably going to be the belt. So that's my honest opinion. If you want to talk about the promo, we can. If you don't, then we could just move right on along.
I will say this, though, MF. You brought up Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair. They actually did fight once. It was on Raw. It was for the Raw Women's Championship, and that was the night where Bianca almost won the title from Charlotte. That was just before the draft, and it was back in October. October 18 of last year for that. Now, as far as the Morgan promo, it was another feel-good moment for the young star this week. Even if it is obvious that she needs more reps on the mic before she can be relied upon to carry talking segments. And yeah, you're right. Michael Cole definitely was the straight man here. He reeled her in, like you said, after that overzealous promo that she cut on Raw Monday night. And that even you called out when we did that Tuesday show the other night. And of course, Rousey, when it comes to what happened with Rousey and Natty, that was hardly a match. I mean, little more than an excuse to get him on TV and give Ronda a get right win after her defeat last Saturday night. Her dominance here was a message loud and clear to Morgan, despite still carrying herself very much as a babyface. And Ronda Rousey versus Liv Morgan for the SmackDown Women's Championship will take place at SummerSlam. And as surreal as that match would have been 2 weeks ago, it is evidence of WWE's trust in Liv Morgan in that spot. And it'll be up to her to back that trust up with one of the best performances of her career. Hell, I'll even go as far as to say it. Liv is literally going to have the match of her life, like she did in those 2 matches against Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship last December 6th of 21, and then the Day 1 pay-per-view on New Year's. And the crowd's chants of "You deserve it" had Morgan noticeably emotional. And we talked about Michael Cole. I mean, he will not get the credit he deserves for guiding the still relatively inexperienced Liv Morgan on the mic. He was a total pro, keeping her on task and making sure things went according to plan, while she continues to find her footing and build confidence consistently as a talker. And Ronda said, "You want me to beat the credit out of Natalya or some other word?" As her promos get somehow worse with every passing week. So it's an interesting situation, and I mean, Natty getting added. I mean, that is certainly a possibility. I mean, there's only 2 SmackDowns left, so you got to do it on SmackDown next week, or even the week after. Well, actually, no, we got 3 SmackDowns left. I beg your pardon. Three SmackDowns left, including 2 weeks from tonight, which will be in our neck of the woods in Boston, TD Garden, and then Atlanta for the go home show. So I don't know where it is next week. I'll find that out. But for right now, NA for the match, no rating because there wasn't really much of a match. But the Liv promo was fine, so not much more to say. Michael Bullock, for now, it's Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey 1-on-1 at SummerSlam. But MF, interesting little theory here. He thinks Natty's going to get added. It's a possibility. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. What says you?
I wouldn't rule out either. I mean, and Fletch brought up some good points. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you have it just straight up being one-on-one Liv versus Ronda, and Ronda wins the title, the fans are going to turn on her. It's going to be like the road to WrestleMania 35 all over again. Because remember, when she first became the Raw Women's Champion, I mean, she was still loved by the fans, but as time went on, the fans started turning on her, and that's when we saw the different side of Ronda Rousey. I mean, does WWE really want to go that route again? I don't think they want to. I think the best way to avoid it is to make this a triple threat. And I think this is where Natalya is going to come into play. I mean, I hope WWE will do this, but will they actually do it? Who knows? So there's really nothing more for me to say. NA on the match. It's yours, Fletch.
All right, we're going to move right on along, guys. The next thing that we did have, well, it was supposed to be a match between Lacey Evans and Aaliyah. Never got off the ground, but Lacey turned heel. So definitely, you could say that was a quick little thing that happened. They started her as a face. Now they got her as a heel. So we're going to wait and see how this plays out. Next thing we had was the Usos versus Los Lotharios. Usos won in about 2 minutes. That was a squash. We're not gonna nothing more with that. Then main event: Drew McIntyre versus Butch. Initially, that was supposed to have been Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. Winner was supposed to have gotten a title shot at Clash at the Castle. That match never happened. And, well, they give us Butch, and McIntyre wins in the minute 30. There's really nothing more to add there. This is why we said that this was a bad SmackDown. And I feel bad for the fans of Fort Worth, Texas, because we just found out there was no dark match main event. So the fans in Fort Worth just got screwed up the butt tonight. Total disrespect by WWE to the fans in Fort Worth, Texas. I feel bad for you guys. Damn is all I can say, man. That was they got a raw deal tonight.
What a difference a year makes, MF. I mean, 1 year ago, the very first pay-per-view that had the fans back after the pandemic, it was in that very arena.
Yeah.
Money in the Bank. And that show, that Money in the Bank show last year was unbelievable. It was one of the best shows of the entire year.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much good on that show. And then, of course, when Cena showed up, that did it.
I'm done. I'm not. Yeah.
I mean, I'm never gonna forget that soundbite as long as I live. I mean, I mean, you've had a lot of great screaming Michael Fletcher moments when it comes to WWE MF, but that might have taken the cake right there, because that was. I mean, every time I watch that back, I always have that. I always hear that. I'm done. I'm not believing this night. And then we pulled out the WrestleMania 6, the Ultimate Challenge, when I said I'm not even going to try to talk over this, and then we both say let's just watch, and then that was it, and never forget it. But man, just wanted to follow up on that quick point that you just made, MF. I mean, a year ago they got treated like royalty with that epic Money in the Bank 2021 pay-per-view, first pay-per-view with a full live crowd since COVID and all that. And then almost a year later, they ended up getting a show that ended up being literally the drizzle and you-know-whats.
Not only that, I'll even call it the worst SmackDown of the year.
Amen.
The worst SmackDown of the year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We could rant till the cows come home if we wanted to. I'm not wasting any time with this. I am actually going to do executive order here. There is no need to rate this show tonight. There is no need to rant about this show tonight. We're going to sweep this one under the carpet, and we're going to burn this one. We're gonna make it. We're gonna declare this a non-factor. So Anthony says 2 to 2.5. I'll give you that, Florio. That's fine by me. But there were so many negatives on this show. And the thing is, it felt like they packed it in. Maybe they were panicked. Maybe they were spooked over the news of what happened to Mr. McMahon today. And if you've been living under a rock, a lot came down today. A lot of news came down on him, and it was not good at all. It was a lot of bad news for Vince and Kennedy McMahon. There was a lot more news that we found out. A lot more news that was basically we thought it was a little. Oh no, it was a lot more than we first thought. We're talking about maybe $7.5 million worth of hush money over 4 women right now, stemming back from some incidences. We already know about the referee. But I think, and this is me personally, I might have uncovered possibly 2 other women. And these are 2 that we know, guys. from the most recently in WWE. One that dates back in 2005, and I think I know who it is. I don't want to put the name out there because out of respect, and I want to be very, very, very careful with what I say. So that's why I'm not revealing it tonight, because I need to do more research just to make sure if the timeline is correct, if my timeline, who I think it is correct and matches up, I'm going to be pissed because it's one of my favorites. I'm not saying who it is. I'm leaving it alone. But I'm telling you right now, if it's who I think it is, and if this is true, who I think it is, I'm telling you right now, I am going to be in a very pissed off, more than just a typical Phenom ranting rage. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I saw this, Fletch, and I mean, when I originally heard it, I mean, if you thought the original report when we first heard of it was bad, this is 10 times worse.
And I know who two. And the thing is, I think I know who the two are. The two that are the most recent, and the one that got implicated by John Laurinaitis, I instantly know who it is. I know who it is now. I know.
Yeah, this is not good. I mean, WWE. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're gonna do about this, because right now this company looks so bad. I mean, it's not even funny. I mean, they got to do something to get. I mean, I don't know what they can do here. I mean,
basically, the board of directors at this point, what they could possibly do is they could vote McMahon out of power. They have the right to do that because of the fact that, yes, he may be chairman of the board, but if they vote no confidence, he's gone. They would have to vote no confidence, and the board of directors, I think there has to be a majority, more than a majority vote in order for this to happen. I think there has to be a certain threshold they have to carry in order to vote out Mr. McMahon as chairman of the board. They could make Stephanie full-time chairman of WWE, and she could have all the power. But the thing is, it would have to be a full vote, or McMahon would have no choice but to resign as chairman of WWE. He would have to physically either resign, or like in politics or anything else, there might have to be, quote unquote, an impeachment that would have to happen. A hostile takeover would probably have to happen at that point in order to remove McMahon from power, because that's the only thing that would have to be prompted at this moment.
Yeah, and the thing is, Fletch, I mean, if I were the board, you need to act on this right now, because if you don't take any action and you keep McMahon on board,
it's going to get bad because of the fact that the stocks are on the line on here. You know, you also are going to get a lot of pressure from Fox, and you're probably going to get a lot of pressure from NBC Universal. They're going to want something to be done. Look, this is what happens a lot of the times, and we always talk about this. The media has an influence in the thing as well. And now a lot of the news media is getting on this story. Normally it would be just wrestling news sites and everything else, and that's that. Oh no, today ESPN covered this, CNN covered this. Hell, WJAR Channel 10 in Providence, freaking Rhode Island covered this story.
And even
At
the
the 7
Bleacher
o'clock
Report.
news. So, no, this is serious. This is getting bad. WWE is going to have to do something now. They're going to have to. So
they have no other choice. Otherwise, otherwise, this whole situation is only going to get worse.
Yep.
And you want to know who the real winners from this whole thing? Those other wrestling companies.
Yeah.
AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yep.
They're going to benefit.
Impact is going to benefit too. Impact Wrestling will benefit. AAA will benefit from this. No, you're absolutely correct, Michael Bullock. All those other major wrestling companies around the world will benefit no doubt. However, AEW's got their own problems right now because a lot of the fans are not happy with AEW with some of the recent contract moves and guys who are leaving the company. There's some right now. AEW is not in deep trouble. They're not in deep water like WWE because their roster is so big right now that they could actually navigate through it and they're fine. However, when they lost Alan Five Angels to Impact Wrestling, and yes, Alan Five Angels is an Impact, people are not happy. Marco Stunt is gone from the company. Joey Janela is gone from the company. Big Swole gone from the company. A lot of these names are starting to drop, and some people are starting to look at Tony Khan like, what the F are you doing? And on top of that, what makes it even worse is now the injury bug is starting to creep up in AEW. CM Punk injured, broken foot, and now they're saying his injury might be worse than first thought. And Daniel Bryan is now, Bryan Danielson, my apologies, he's out with an injury right now. So AEW's got a little bit of some problems right now. Not big problems. They can easily fix their issues. That's nothing to worry about. But they got to be very careful. They got to be very, very, very careful because one false mistake, here comes the cliff. That's all I'm saying. All right. Speaking of AEW, speaking of Rampage, we had a show tonight. Eddie Kingston versus Takashia, and it was Eddie Kingston, 11 minutes, 56 seconds. This was good. This was solid. I really liked this match. This was more than expected. This was solid for what it was worth. It was a good matchup. I could give this about 3 stars. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, right there with you here. This match alone was better than any of the matches we saw on SmackDown tonight.
Yes.
Because it was, all right, even though there was no clear heel in this bout, Kingston and Takashita both did a few things that were less than honorable. So it provided a fun, competitive feel for that bout. And there was also no clear leader when it came to who was controlling the pace. Felt like both men had control for an equal amount of time. Outcome was never in doubt, but they made it feel less certain. And it was a fun opener that ended up being slightly more physical than expected in the final few minutes. And after trading several strikes, Kingston with the back fist, the spinning back fist for the win. 3 to 3.25 stars for this. And Kingston, he might not focus on technical stuff too much, but he's not bad when he does. He knows what he's doing out there. And he also did a good job selling his taped up ribs. And it might have gotten to the point that Kingston might just be the most over talent in AEW. That crowd absolutely loves him. And the exchange of strikes they had toward the end was awesome. So this was a good 3 to 3.25. Heck, I can make an argument for 3.5 if I wanted to. But 3.25 for this. Michael Bullock, this match alone was better than any of the matches we saw on SmackDown. And go figure, this was a taped show, and that was a live show. Unreal.
Yeah, that's the other thing too when it comes to this. I mean, this was a taped show, and this match alone, which was taped, was far better than the live SmackDown. I mean, oh my gosh, that was. I mean, I don't know what else is there to say. I mean, on this, but three and a half, or three and a quarter is my rating on this. I mean, like you said, this is alone was far and away better than everything that we saw on SmackDown. So I don't know what else is there to say on this. So I'm just gonna give it to you, Fletch.
All right, next up on the fight card, guys, we had was let's see, hold on. Sorry, guys. I had to step away because I had to check something out. All right. So next up we had was Jonathan Gresham and Lee Moriarty against Quan and Toa. Quan and Toa won the match in 7 minutes and 27 seconds. Anthony, these were the hired guns. This was the new tag team from as a matter of fact, this is the tag team from Ring of Honor that was hired by Mr. Telly Blanchard. His version, this is his new guys. You could say they kind of have a little bit of an Authors of Pain. This was the team that basically he recruited after FTR dumped him. Oh boy. Ring of Honor, look out. You got some threats for the tag team titles.
And what was that time again?
7:27.
7:27. All right. 2.5 to 2 3/4. Match was fine, but it's nothing people will be talking about in a week. It was more of a bump in the road than the final destination. But the big talking point out of this, Jonathan Gresham walked out on Lee Moriarty. He basically pulled a Rick Martel on Tito Santana, almost. And I already hear MF channeling his inner gorilla saying, yo, it was very unprofessional of him to do that. And there's an unwritten law in the world of professional wrestling that if you're in a tag team and you've got problems, you settle them outside the ring, not inside. Mm-hmm. Well, let's not forget, MF. Rules were made to be broken.
Yeah, that's one of those Tony-isms that you would like to talk about.
So, yeah, absolutely. But all kidding aside, 2.5, 2 3/4 of a star. But MF, like I said, the major talking point, the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, Jonathan Gresham, walking out on Lee Moriarty. And next week on Rampage, they're going to battle for the Ring of Honor World title.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens. So I think he goes over because he's just way too damn good. Moriarty will probably give him a hell of a try, but I do believe Jonathan Gresham will walk out. And who knows? I think he can make a great badass heel. I really do, because the dude is jacked. And you make him a badass heel, he's going to hold that Ring of Honor World title for as long as he wants. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, 2.5, 2 3/4 for this. But the main talking point, Jonathan Gresham pulling a Rick Martel on Tito Santana at WrestleMania 5, literally walked out on Lee Moriarty.
Yeah, 2.5 stars is my rating on the match. Yeah, it was a good one, but yeah, I mean, the story was the Ring of Honor World Champion Jonathan Gresham walking out on Lee Moriarty, and yeah, pulling like what Rick Martel did to Tito Santana a long time ago. So yeah, now Moriarty's going to have a chance for some retribution against Gresham for that Ring of Honor World title next week on Rampage. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say, so let's move on, Fletch.
Yeah, so next up we had was Serena Deeb, and also we had Mercedes Martinez. They went up against Kayla Sparks and Christina Marie, and it was Serena Deeb and Mercedes Martinez. They won the match in 2 minutes and 23 seconds. We don't really need to talk about that one. We'll move right on along. Main event of the evening, Orange Cassidy versus Tony Nese. Orange Cassidy wins the match in 15 minutes. All right, Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, this was definitely the fight of the night, hands down. I'm going to give this about maybe 3 3/4 to 4 on this one. Maybe more 3 3/4 for me, but basically, I mean, what a match these two, and yeah, I mean, there was a little thing in this match too, Fletch. If Tony Nese had beaten Orange Cassidy, then he would have had to sign that thing from Sterling with trying to ban Swerve Strickland from AEW. So, but obviously Cassidy won, so that ain't gonna happen. So, yeah, this was a good match, no doubt about it. So 3 3/4 for me. So it's yours, Fletch.
I'm going to go 3.5. Yes, the match was good, but there was a lot of campy comedy nonsense in this fight. I mean, you had Danhausen out there. Don't get me wrong, I love Danhausen. He's amazing. You had the typical shtick by Orange Cassidy. I get it. It's supposed to be funny. There were some moments where I did laugh. There was other moments where I kind of cringed a little bit. I kind of felt like it was all over the goddamn place. It was funny in certain areas. Not everything I'm gonna get. I'll openly admit it. The humor, whatnot, fine, whatever. You get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Either you're gonna love the segment or you're not gonna like it. There's nothing in between. So either you're gonna love it and say, "Oh, that was the greatest thing," or "What the bleep was that? That was the biggest pile of shit you just threw at me." So you're gonna either be on both sides of the fence. There's not gonna be a right side on it, and it's either you like it or you're gonna shove it. So that's how I feel about that. I kind of feel like it goes both ways. There were some good elements, and then there were some elements where I thought it was pure utter crap. But that's what you're gonna get. Anthony, it's yours.
I'm actually with MF on this one. 3.5 to 3 3/4 for me on this. It was the fight of the night, and that's the best I've seen Tony Nese look in a match in quite some time, probably since his days when he was the cruiserweight champion of the world in WWE. But match had a good pace and allowed both men to show off their individual skills. Cassidy's matches have become much more physical, so he's starting to find his groove and get more wins. And that's what happened here when Orange Cassidy hit the orange punch for the win. And AEW, I believe, needs to find a way to put a title on Tony Nese at some point. He is too good to keep being used to put others over. And that's really all there is to say on that. So 3.5, 3 3/4 for this. It is the fight of the night. I'm with MF on the ratings. So overall review time.
And I'll say this. This was a fine show. 7 to 7.5. That's my official rating for the show. I got nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Like I just said a moment ago, it's hard to believe. Usually when you think one show live, one show taped, you're going to think, oh, the live show had to be far better. No. This night, and this is not the first time this has happened, and who knows, this may not be the last time we say this. A tape show to be better than a live show. That live Smackdown tonight, for me personally, was a 2 to 2.5. This, 7 to 7.5. Main event was the fight of the night. Opener was the second best fight. You had a fun little sprint with Gresham and Moriarty against the Gates of Agony. You had the typical cool down fight with that women's tag. And Serena Deeb and Mercedes Martinez are definitely on a collision course for the Ring of Honor Women's World title. And I know Ring of Honor's got a pay-per-view coming up, MF, and I'm sure you're going to be addressing that in a future Mikey's Mindset. But anyways, 7.5 for me. Bullet, take it home.
And I'll say this. This was a fine show. 7 to 7.5. That's my official rating for the show. I got nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
But anyways, 7.5 for me. Bullet, take it home. 7 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 for me. Bul
Yeah, 7.5 for me. I mean, this was. It's still hard to believe that a tape show was better than a live show. I mean, that it still boggles my mind. So, yeah, nothing more to say. 7.5. Fletch, wrap it up.
All right. So on Monday night, we do it all over again, starting with Ridiculously Raw, hosted by Anthony Florio. We're going to have everything. So it's going to be Raw. Then he has the Tony's Take. Not 205 Live. I think it's NXT Level Up now is what they call it. And, of course, Impact Wrestling. So we're going to have that. That's on Monday night, 11 p.m. as Raw goes off the air. Wednesday Night Madness. You already know the routine. It will be AEW Rampage, and we also got NXT 2.0.
Dynamite.
Well, Dynamite. I said Rampage, right? Yeah, all right. So AEW Dynamite and NXT 2.0. Thursday is another edition of TXN Sports World. We're back at it again with another interesting episode. It'll be between 10 or 10:30. 1 week from tonight, right back here on Braves Fan 95 for another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, another Smackdown, another Rampage, and I do believe this might be the show where I might have to do my AEW, my Ring of Honor preview. Let me see. I want to say it is. I think this might be the week I might have to do it. So let me see. Death before Dishonor. No, not yet. It's going to be the week after. So Death before Dishonor goes down on July 23rd. So no, not yet. We're going to hold off for a little bit. Where we don't have a official pay-per-view. Well, the card will be out next week. So in a couple of weeks, we'll preview that. So nothing more to add. We're out of here. Good night, everybody. For Michael Bullock, for Anthony Florio, I'm Mike Fletcher. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week.